This week, Apple announced they were unrolling their new news subscription service called Apple News Plus. But what the hell is that exactly? Well, to explain, we have Rae Johnston from Junkee and we have technology reporter Ariel Bogle from across the ABC. Apple News Plus, name doesn't give heaps away. Ariel, exactly what is it?
If you have an iPhone, you probably have an app already called Apple News, and that lets you access all kinds of news outlets for free. Essentially what Apple News Plus is a subscription service that gives you an additional layer of access to content that normally you'd have to pay for. So here in Australia, News Corp was pretty much the major partner. So if you subscribe for $14.99 per month to Apple News Plus, you'll get access to titles like The Australian, Daily Telegraph, Vogue, stuff that's normally behind a paywall.
Every time I read Vogue, in my mind, I still say Vogueway because I'm an idiot. Is it worth the money, Rae Johnston?
Look, I think it depends if you're a regular reader of those titles.
Including Vogueway?
The access to, other publications. You got Rolling Stone and Harper's Bazaar and all those sorts of things.
International titles, Wall Street Journal.
That we normally wouldn't be able to. If you're the kind of person that's heading out regularly and purchasing those, in person, you might want to be looking at a digital option. There has been a slight uptake in people purchasing real-world print magazines. But the reason that it's happening is it's more centred around it being a bit of an indulgence, like a bit of a me time, bit of self-care.
It's beautiful.
Away from a screen. So it's interesting to see if that's going to really kind of take off and resonate with that particular market. But I can only see this being a positive, really, for people who already read these magazines and for the publishers as well, to be able to reach all of those super dedicated Apple people that are just going to subscribe to literally everything.
Thank you. That is me.
Yeah, so I think a lot of studies of how people consume news these days suggests that in a lot of cases, people no longer have the relationship with the title that's delivering the content, but more the platform that is delivering the content. So if you're someone that clicks on news articles in your Facebook feed, you more likely think of Facebook as the sort of deliverer of that news, and you have a relationship or an opinion of news based on what kind of news you see on Facebook, and likewise with Apple News. So a lot of Australian publishers have really embraced Apple News, the free version, and you do get a lot of traffic from it. If they choose to support your story, to send an alert with your story, to put it at the top of the Apple News feed, it can have a remarkable impact on traffic, actually. But it is another case of handing power from the news organisation and handing that relationship, that direct relationship with your reader, with your audience, to a third party who starts to mediate it. And if the Apple News Plus app, spreads fake news or gets some sort of bad reputation like Facebook does now in the news space, that could have impact on your brand too.
This might seem like a silly idea, but part of me wonders if there's value in bundling together publications based on what you're interested in. And this is a weird analogy given it's a sort of dying business, but not dissimilar to what cable channels used to do, where you could get kids' entertainment, you get a sport package. I could see value in that, particularly given the breadth of brands that Apple are likely to work with here. Do you think that would work?
Definitely. And I don't think that people are really shying away from subscribing to news sources either. So I think it's a pretty easy bridge to cross for the publishers and for Apple in general. I know that I'd probably be more likely to sign up for a slightly lower cost bundle of the kind of content I'd want to consume rather than have to fork out the $15 a month, which doesn't sound much.
No.
Until
it all adds up,
it adds up with everything else that you're subscribing to. I might only want to access 2 or 3 of those titles. How much time do people really have to read magazines anymore?
Do you think it's likely to take off?
It will be interesting to see how people here receive the app, because when it was launched in the United States earlier this year, the app itself got a lot of bad reviews. They said it felt half-baked, I think Gizmodo put it. They said that although you do think of screens and even iPads as a great way to consume magazines, for example, in a lot of cases it felt like you were sort of scrolling over a PDF and sort of zooming in on a PDF rather than having a really native digital experience. And likewise, there was some consternation that although you were now ostensibly subscribed to something like New York Magazine, you're only getting sort of a version of the print edition and not all the digital content that outlet has on its news website. So there were some teething problems there, and it'll be interesting to see if they've fixed that up in time for this Australia and UK rollout. While we've been talking about the Australian, the Daily Telegraph, Vogue, etc., all the 9 properties are missing here. So your Sydney Morning Herald, your local titles, your local regional titles. And it is interesting to see News Corp embrace Apple in this case, because they have been wailing on Facebook and Google for the way they're impacting news outlets. One of the News Corp execs said when announcing this Apple partnership that they're proud to partner globally with a company that truly believes in the profundity of provenance, and there should be a premium for premium journalism. Apple has acted positively, honourably and decisively to change the digital landscape.
Was there a 2-for-1 deal on words starting with P there? Was it alliteration day in Holt Street?
I think it's a lot to lay it on like that at the beginning of what is an experiment in whether Apple will be good to you, because you've signed up with Apple, people are subscribing through Apple as a third party to access your content. What happens when Apple tries to squeeze you on the revenue share? Like, I wonder what the contracts look like. I guess maybe they're hoping for good contracts in the future by being so glowing at the opening, but I wouldn't be issuing a statement quite so glowing.
All right, there's lots more of this in the podcast of Download This Show. We're also talking about the science, the future, the history of Instagram influencers. Stay with me. There's actually quite a lot in there. You can find it in the podcasts of Download This Show, wherever you podcast.